The Ministry of Labor's Salary Review Committee is set to convene September 1st to discuss adjustments to the minimum wage. Labor representatives say the government should significantly raise the base salary amid soaring inflation.
One representative says the minimum monthly salary should be brought up to 28,000 NT. Meanwhile, businesses representatives say that the government should also consider the impact of inflation on operating costs.
Black tea, milk powder, and brown sugar go in the shaker and are given a thorough mix. The drink is poured into a cup to make this shop's signature bubble tea. Mr. Ye works here part-time. He says he makes 15 to 30 drinks per hour, for which he gets paid 170 NT. It's barely enough to get by.
Food is getting more expensive. My wallet can barely take it. Of course I'd like wages to go up. The minimum hourly wage could go to 175 NT, or 173 NT, or better yet, up to 180 NT. I would like to see the minimum monthly wage be adjusted in one go to 28,000 NT. According to the OECD, low-income workers refer to people who have a net income below 2/3 of the median. In Taiwan, anyone with monthly earnings below 28,000 NT is low income.
Inflation and rising material costs are sending prices soaring. Earlier this year, the minimum monthly wage was adjusted up by 5.21%. The Wage Review Committee is scheduled to discuss any further adjustments on September 1st. Labor representatives say they hope the minimum monthly wage can be sorted out in one go and be raised from the current 25,250 NT to 28,000 NT, an increase of 10.9%. Business representatives say that's too much.
Every time labor representatives ask for very high salaries, but in the end it's the Ministry of Labor that makes the final decision. Of course, inflation is putting a lot of pressure on employees, but it's also putting a lot of pressure on businesses, which are seeing rising material costs. I do agree that the base wage should be revised up next year. With inflation at 3% and economic growth of 1.5 to 1.6%, add those up and you get a rise of 4.5%.
Experts say the minimum wage should be adjusted to keep up with inflation and economic growth, but they argue that the raise should not exceed 5% to avoid an impact on consumer prices. Meanwhile, the head of the General Chamber of Commerce says that inflation affects both labor and businesses, saying that big wage hikes would only put additional pressure on business. He added that the government should draw up a system to calculate adjustments to prevent tensions between laborers and employers.